Hi everyone, I had a consultation recently with a client who was 32 years old and looking to enroll into a bachelor's program in Australia. Now, they're currently onshore, so it's a little bit easier if the client is onshore at the moment, although there are a lot of student visa refusals. So we're going to talk a little bit about the student visa as well as the graduate visa age requirement. Now, student visas are dependent, well, firstly, they're being criticized based on where you're from. You know, this is internal, not external, but there's a lot more visa refusals for South Americans, people from Africa or Asia, whereas Western countries do have a higher chance of approval. Not that they're not being scrutinized either. Now, this consultation was someone from an Indian national, and they want to utilize the new agreement that Australia and India have, which allows for a graduate visa to be granted for a longer period possibly as well. But let's start with the basic scenario. It is that they want to go for a bachelor degree program, which will be 3 years, possibly an engineering background. So it could be that it could be a 4-year program within the STEM space. Now, this person is 32 at the moment. So by the time they finish their program, they might be 35 or 36, depending on whether they choose a 3-year degree or a 4-year degree in STEM. Now, if they were to go for a 3-year degree in STEM, or possibly not STEM related, then they would be allowed to go for a 2-year graduate visa, even though they're an Indian national, and the agreement does apply there. But if they do a STEM course, they can possibly go for a 3-year graduate visa rather than just a 2-year one after doing their bachelor degree, because it's within the STEM space. Now, when planning their pathway, it's important to strategize what will happen. Now, if they're 32, the changes for age are commencing from 1st of July, 2024. They will be allowed to go as long as, from our understanding, regulations are not in place yet to clearly outline this, but from our understanding, it'll be as long as they're less than 36. So you could be 35 and 5 months, 35 and 8 months. As long as you apply before then, you should be able to get the 485 visa. We're assuming that it's not less than 35. Now, for this person, we've advised that it's better if they go for a 3-year degree in a field that they're interested in, because they will still be less than 36 by the time they finish. But if they were to do a 4-year degree, then they would not have the opportunity to get a graduate visa, which could possibly mean they lose out on 3 years of international experience that they may be able to obtain in Australia. So 3-year program, finish that, apply for a graduate visa, and potentially they could continue studying on that graduate visa to complete their honors or their last year, or continue on to a master's course, which would be an additional year to finish off their master's program. So bachelor's leading to master's. And study rights are allowed on the 485, which would be a huge benefit to them, while they still get that extra year or two on the graduate visa to potentially gain that work experience that they want. And then they can take that experience back to their home country and use that, which will be highly beneficial for them. So we've covered the student visa, the changes in terms of age for the graduate visa, and that there is a high refusal at the moment. So you need to be very careful in the way that you plan and apply. Make sure you've covered everything in that student visa that the department is looking for. They look for a number of things. And thirdly, it's important that you know from 10th of May, the minimum threshold for income or funds required has gone up, 10th May 2024. So make sure you meet those new requirements when preparing your student visa application.